Okay, terrific. Thanks everybody for joining us. I know there's a few new people, and thanks for joining our little group. I hope you enjoyed this evening. Tonight we're going to have as our guest Shayne Cayley, and Shayne is the operations manager for Rueschhoff Security here in Lawrence, and he's going to just chat with us and talk about a variety of security options that run from no cost or very little cost all the way up to other options, depending on what your choice is. So everybody can learn a little bit more about how to feel a little more comfortable at home. So with that note, I will turn it over to Shayne and allow him to proceed. Thanks, Shayne.
Oh, thanks for having me, folks. So I'm going to discuss just a wide range of things, like Jack said, the simple things that you could do and just kind of on an everyday part of your everyday routine to make yourself feel safer, up to advanced systems that we have available or that are available out on the market or even at your local DIY store. So I think one of the first things I'd like to talk about is some of the simple things that you can do just in your everyday routine. So I know some of you might have heard some of these items before, but simple things as your personal safety, meaning whether you are going shopping and you're getting out of your vehicle, walking up to a store, before you get out of your vehicle, just take a few seconds and just kind of look around. If something looks abnormal or you're questioning something, just pause for a little bit and just kind of look at your surroundings and just make sure you feel comfortable. As your same goes for when you're getting into your vehicle, whether that is in a shopping center or even your driveway. It just takes a few seconds to kind of pause and look around before you get out or as you're approaching your vehicle to get in, just to make sure everything looks normal, everything looks good. And that's part of that doesn't cost anything. So, and just some common sense that people, we're always in a hurry this day and age. Everybody's has things going on, some more than others, but it seems like sometimes it's best to just kind of pause for a second and make sure you feel safe. On that same note, let's talk about your home. So, for an example, as you're pulling in your driveway, coming home, take a look around. Most of us are hitting that garage door button and pulling into the garage, and we're thinking about, getting in and carrying our groceries in. And, if I'm going to be able to carry all 20 bags at one trip, or, if I need to make multiple trips. But as you're pulling into your driveway, opening the garage door, just kind of look around as you're pulling into the garage, kind of do the same thing. It's unfortunate some days, some scenarios we get involved with, or somebody drives their vehicle in the garage and then gets out and is not paying attention and, approaches that garage or the inner garage door that leads into the house. And there have been instances where people have forced people into the home and just, and that's a very bad situation. So just be aware of your surroundings. And I know sometimes that's hard with, like I said, when everybody has things to do. And so that's just a little bit of change in behavior that can be very helpful. Another thing in regards to your home, one thing you might want to think about is take a walk around your house. Normally, when I'm visiting a client's home, one of the things I do as part of my routine is not only walk the inside of the home, but I walk the outside of the home. And I do that for various reasons. But We all sometimes, have landscaping, bushes, trees that get out of control, out of hand. They might be blocking, getting too high, blocking a window, creating a safe space or a hide space for somebody that shouldn't be there. So just keeping your shrubs, your trees manicured, up and clean. So not only does that help you from the outside, but as you're in the inside your home, you're able to look out and get a clear view of your property and your surroundings. Again, very simple things. If you do your own landscaping or your own lawn care, that's something that's not going to cost you anything. Or even if you have a landscaping company that helps you out, it's not that much more expensive for them to, trim some trees or some bushes for you. Little things like that can be a big impact. We also have a few very inexpensive items. And again, I'm just letting you be aware of the items that are out there, not trying to sell you a bunch of stuff, but a lot of people just don't know, if they're not in the business or in the industry, what is available and really how pretty affordable some of these items are. I do have a couple examples that so can you all see this?
Yeah, this might be a good opportunity to change your view to speaker view up in the upper right corner of the view thing. And then if you click on speaker, Shayne is bigger.
So this is a miniature door here, and this is called a door guardian. So, all of us have a lock on our door. A lot of us have a deadbolt on our door. Most of the time, those locks are lower on the door itself. This is an item that screws into the door jamb, and it's a little latching mechanism. And usually these are mounted in more of the center of the door. So if somebody were to try to kick open a door with this item latching over and closing, locking that door, that's really going to be a lot more support on that door staying intact versus it being kicked open. We also do simple things as existing door hardware, especially deadbolts. Most of the deadbolts that are installed by just typical contractors or builders use the hardware, the screws that are supplied with that hardware. So we always recommend, and they're usually pretty short screws. So we recommend even on your existing deadbolt or door hardware to replace those with a long screw, something that really bites into the studs that hardware is mounted to. That will help give better support to keep that door shut on somebody trying to kick in or get into that door. So again, very little, simple things. Go to the hardware store and grab you some longer screws and just replace those short screws that are typically provided with that hardware from the manufacturer. We also have, this is an item called a door scope. So you all, some of your doors, you might have peepholes, the old-fashioned little tiny peepholes that you get up and stick your eye close to the door. This is called a door scope. So what this does is this takes the place of a standard peephole, or your door can be drilled to accommodate this, and it has a telescopic lens on it. And so what you can do is this is the lens that, I don't know if you can all see that, but this is the lens that is on the exterior of the door. This is the magnifying lens that is on the interior. And you can actually stand back roughly about 10 feet and see exactly what's going on. It has kind of a periscope or telescoping a wide view of what's out on your porch. Typically the old peepholes, you would go up to the door and the person outside could see, if your lights are on, they could see when you approach that peephole, when you're looking through that peephole. With this, you're standing so far away, then that's not a factor. and you get a nice wide angle view of what's going on out there. So very inexpensive to use. If you're handy at all, you can install it yourself. A contractor or locksmith division would be able to offer those services as well. So again, something that doesn't cost a lot. I believe this is maybe $50 or $40. And the Door Guardian, I think they're around $20 or something like that. So I used the Door Guardian when my daughter was in college on her apartment door, and that was something that I just got approval from maintenance, and it was just a couple screws that were in the door jamb. So again, not damaging or marring up any of the property, but yet giving her some really nice reinforcement on that door. We also you can do something as simple as, and this has been common for a long time, but they are more advanced now, especially if you're traveling, the timer lights. Now they have them where you can program digitally multiple schedules where lighting comes on at different times versus, like the old, what's the movie, Home Alone, where the thieves are sitting there counting down, okay, now, and then the light comes on, because they know at every 6 o'clock every night that light's gonna come on. Now they have much more advanced programmable timers that you can have multiple schedules on, that those lights come on at different times during different days. Again, something very simple, very easy to program, and not very expensive at all. Some of those items also, as we get into more advanced systems, can be programmed with an app on your phone. They can be integrated in with a burglary system. So there's lots of things that can be added, and all those items can also be very scalable. So you can kind of start out with the basics and then build on it as you want. On some more technical items, you've probably all heard, and some of you may have video doorbells. That is a really hot item right now, and it has been for the past couple years. The video doorbell is a nice option. Again, it's a little more expensive than the product I just showed you, but it's very affordable, especially as they've been out longer. They've come down in price. But the video doorbell is also could be a DIY installation if you're remotely handy at all. Typically on the video doorbell, if you have a functioning doorbell, that video doorbell takes the place of your doorbell button, and it also gets its power from what powers that doorbell button or that light on that older doorbell button. It connects to your Wi-Fi, and then it's an app on your phone. Most of the video doorbells, you could set up areas of detection. Like for an example, on my home, I have a video doorbell that I just have a little area just that goes beyond my doormat. So I can get a real-time notification if somebody walks up to the door and doesn't even push the doorbell. So it comes in real handy with Amazon and all these delivery services that a lot of us are using these days. I know when a package has been delivered. If I'm home, then I can go get it. If not, I know it's at least there, and to get it when I get home. The video doorbells have both audio and video. So if someone does press your doorbell and is at your door, you don't have to open the door to know who's there. So you can see that video real time on your phone, talk to that person, and they can talk to you, and without having to actually open the door and see who's there, or even look out. They don't know if they're talking to you or if you're talking to them through the video doorbell. They don't know if you're home or if you're away. So It's nice to be able to have that connection and that conversation with that person without, like, again, without even being home or opening the door. From there,
Shayne,
yes,
can I
sure.
just grab that? Because and you may be getting to this, but as long as we're talking about these internet connected security items,
Mhm.
there's been a lot of press about those items being hacked.
Mhm.
Although you hear less of it now, has that been improved? Is that more secure, or is that a concern that people should take into consideration?
Early on, there was some concern. I'm sure you know, seen that on the the nightly news and so forth. Those were more cameras that were inside the home that used a little different technology than the video doorbells do. Here at Rueschhoff, we use a couple different manufacturers that actually goes through the manufacturer's servers that are encrypted. So, and those are security companies that we deal with, or manufacturers. So, the encryption, the security is definitely much better than what you've heard in the past. But that's a great question, because that was a pretty hot topic as well. What, a year or two ago, I think it was, or right around there. So those video doorbells can also be integrated with home burglary systems, whether they're do-it-yourself burglary system that you can buy at a hardware store, or if it's a system that can be purchased through a security provider like Rueschhoff. Again, back to those, you can start out with the basics and then kind of build on the system as you want. Lighting can also be integrated in with those types of systems too, where you can set schedules, kind of like the standalone timer or programmable timers that are available. And then from there, you could take it as far as you want. You can get into advanced camera systems that you can have live views on your phone or tablet or computer anywhere in the world. Those recordings are on a server, normally on site, but with it being connected to your internet service, you can remotely access that video. You can export video out if you have an incident. Same with the video doorbell. If you have a clip or an incident that you want to email someone, I know we do a lot of work with LPD and Douglas County Sheriff on exporting video out to them, and that's the same type of option there on a home unit. Typically, we like to have a server on a camera system that gives you roughly around 20 to 30 days of archive footage, because you might notice something that happened a couple of weeks ago, and you can always go back and reference that video if you have enough space on the recorder. Some of those systems, there's no monthly fee. So on a video system, whether it's a video doorbell or if it's a true recording system with cameras, traditional cameras, there's no remote fees for the remote access to access that footage or that recorder. And then you can go into full-blown burglary systems if you want. Some of those can be self-monitored with your app. Some of those, could be like a service that we would provide, where we have a central station that would respond and dispatch authorities if need be, or life safety signals that we get, like smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. We can respond and dispatch LPD or fire department. So those are kind of some of the basic systems that are available if you are getting to the advanced systems. I kind of want to go back to the awareness that I started the conversation with. This is specifically like if you're going to be traveling. I always tell our clients that if they call in and let us know that they're going to be traveling, I always say you might want to reach out to LPD or Douglas County Sheriff and let them know, because they will offer additional drive-bys through your neighborhood. Typically, they're pretty good about that, to just to give some extra coverage or extra drive-bys your house. They're busy, but you know they're patrolling those areas anyway. So and then, of course, obviously, as most of you probably do, if you're good friends with your neighbors, let your neighbors be aware of what's going on, and they can kind of be a little more sensitive while you guys are traveling. Another safety thing would be if you're purchasing a new home or an existing home, we always highly recommend to get that home rekeyed. You know, you never know how many owners have had that home. I mean, you probably know from the records, but you know, you don't know how many keys are floating out around there. How many keys are stashed under a rock somewhere, you know. So it's always good to get the home rekeyed, start out fresh. It's not that expensive to do. And then you know you're the only one that has keys to that home. And lighting also is very important. That your home has adequate lighting in the driveway area, in your entry points. Motion lighting is very common now. A lot of those motion activated lights, an electrician can replace an existing light fixture with a motion floodlight or spotlight. You can also get replacement floodlights that have built-in cameras that act very similar to the video doorbells, to where if somebody walks in a designated area that you have mapped out, you can get a live video feed of that person, and the floodlights will come on as well. Those would typically, you know, if you're handy, that's a pretty simple swap out on a light fixture. If you don't feel comfortable, contact your local electrician that you work with. The charges aren't that much to have those folks come out and make sure that it's installed properly. Most of those electricians are doing enough of these that they can help you get them connected to your network and get your phones dialed in so you can use those types of devices.
Sean, there is one question that just
Sure.
popped up, and while we just have a quick second. Do storm doors provide extra protection?
They are an extra layer. So not only can you have, most storm doors have a standard lock, but some of them have I call them a mini deadbolt or another latch as well. So that definitely gives you an additional layer protecting your main entry or your main door. So yes, very good question, and very good idea to do a storm door. I recently installed a storm door. Well, I say recently, time flies, probably a couple of years ago, on my garage to house door, my inner garage door. You know, sometimes, you know, how many times have you left your garage door up, your overhead garage door, and now you've got access to that inner garage door. And so I put a storm door on there for an added layer of protection as well, because you know, people forget, they leave their overhead garage doors open. If you have a good neighbor, which we have great neighbors, and so in the past I've had a neighbor call me. It might be 10:30 at night, and hey, do you know your garage door's up? No, I totally forgot. Since then, though, I have added things to my security system that take care of things like that, to where those garage doors automatically close at a certain time of night if they're left open. again, that's just part of the more advanced options or systems that are available as well. But yes, good question and very good idea. Let's see. I mean, those are just kind of some really basic ideas that I had, or topics I wanted to talk about. I might think of some more as we go on, but I'm open to questions, or if anybody has some input or ideas themselves that they think might be helpful, I can certainly comment on that.
If we have any questions and you want to type it in the chat, we'll try to get to them right away. Oh, here's one. What extra protection can you use on a patio door?
Are you referring to like a sliding glass door? Is that French door?
It's from Annie.
French doors.
French door.
Okay.
French door.
Okay. Similar. You could if the door doesn't already have a deadbolt, you could do a deadbolt on that door. They also have available, again, at hardware stores, or we have some on our showroom, devices that can be installed that lock into the frame of those French doors as well. Sliding doors is also another topic that there's several styles of hardware that you can install on the sliding door. Some of you probably still have the wooden dowel or board at the bottom of the sliding door. We have a little more advanced options there that are still very affordable, that can be installed in the middle of the door instead of the bottom. It secures that door a lot better than something just at the bottom. Those sliding doors are very vulnerable. Some of those older doors can be lifted out of the tracks. So even if you have something just at the bottom of the door, you still might be acceptable to it being breached. Some of the hardware that's available now that bolts and secures to the middle of the door puts a lot of pressure on the door, as well as gives you support on the middle of the door versus just at the bottom. But yes, a good question.
Okay, anyone else? I had one thought, I know that there are security lights and sensors and whatever, but if you have, let's say, a more lighted front yard, even if it's decorative landscape lighting, is that more discouraging, let's say, than a dark yard, obviously?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That all goes also back to, adequate lighting, as well as getting those bushes and everything trimmed back, because even if you have good lighting, but your landscaping and bushes and trees are out of control, that is blocking that light from lighting those vulnerable areas by your windows or doorways or entry points of the home. So yes, lighting is a great way, and even just if you have a burnout bulb, replace it. I mean, it could be something as simple as that. You just need to go and get that bulb replaced that's been burnt out for a month. But yeah, lighting is a great option.
I've got a question. So
Sure.
does posting like a home security services sign in your front yard really is that any sort of deterrent to people to?
It is, and I'm of course I'm going to say yes, because I'm but it is. I mean, typically a intruder or a thief sees a security sign and is going to be probably going to be deterred to go to a different home, because they know that whether you arm the system or not, it has a system. One thing I would like to talk about a little bit is a lot of people, when I first started in this industry, I've been in the electronics industry in general for over 30 years, but I've been with Rueschhoff for about 13. And when I first started working here, our owner, during some of my training, brought up the topic of fake cameras. I could just buy this fake $10 camera, this housing that looks like a camera and put it up, and that could be a deterrent. That could be a deterrent, but what I found interesting when I first started here is that, especially in a commercial setting, there have actually been companies as well as homeowners that have had an incident happen either on their property or at their business, where maybe somebody was assaulted or there was a situation that came up where, for an example, that person was out walking and saw that this home or this business had a camera. I feel safe because I'm going to walk in this area because that if something happens, it's being recorded. What has actually happened, and I know this sounds very, very crazy, but there has actually been people or companies sued from giving that false sense of security. I had no idea when I first started in this industry that was a thing. But especially with the business, some of you might be business owners. That's why I'm kind of bringing this up. I still to this day get asked, well, do you sell a fake camera? And then I tell this story that you're really putting yourself in liability because it has happened where that business owner or that homeowner has been sued because they've given this false sense of security. So I got on that topic kind of with the signage that you brought up. Is that a deterrent? So I just wanted to kind of share that with you. I know it sounds crazy, but it has happened.
Okay. We do have another question from Vicky. We have had a lot of trouble with our mailboxes being broken into. Any thoughts on security for them?
Right. So my wife and I built a home about 13 years ago, and we live out in the county. And that was a concern of mine as well. As I was driving down the road, seeing during the build process, seeing mailboxes knocked over or hit with a baseball bat or even just, vandalized in general. We purchased a mailbox that, and I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called maybe a Rhino box. I'm not promoting the company, but just do a search online. But it's a mailbox that when the postal worker opens up the box, the lid or the door, the mail slips in, and there's a little flap that he or she pushes up, and the mail drops into a secured cabinet below that, where the person cannot get in, stick his or her hand into that secured cabinet below. And then when we get the mail, we just have a key that opens up that door below the mailbox, and then we know our mail is safe. Never had an issue, with somebody trying to get steal the mail or anything, because it's completely safe and secured. Good question.
Okay. Anyone else? I was just thinking the mailboxes. My wife's from Chicago, and Chicago is famous for 3 foot by 3 foot brick edifices with mailboxes put in it. Nobody has a mailbox on a metal or a wooden stand, and it's kind of like a Chicago thing. Like all their houses are also brick.
Right.
Another question just came up: how to balance home security with allowing access for emergency personnel when I need help and live alone?
Okay, that's a very good question. So I'll address that from my experience being in the industry. Our clients that live alone or maybe elderly, a lot of times we will install like keypad deadbolts on their home and have with our central station secured on file that passcode or that 4-digit code that can be shared from our dispatchers to the authorities. So if we're in a medical situation, you know, we do some medical buttons and pendants and things like that for folks that have a medical emergency. So with the consent of the client, that is kept on file, that we can share that information with authorities. So when they get there, they can get in and access the home and give that person the help that they need. Also, when you do have a monitored system, there is a procedure with what we call a call list. So I don't know if any of you folks have a system at all, but there's a standard procedure involved if our central station gets an alarm. We typically call a priority number that is given to us prior to dispatching, depending on the type of signal that our central station gets. After that, if we don't get an answer on that priority number, then we dispatch. Then we start calling the call list. So the call list is arranged by the client. It could be a next door neighbor, it could be a family member, however they want that arranged. But then you have some more resources available to contact to get that person the help that they need.
There's a kind of a follow-up question, and it's, doesn't Smart 911 do the same thing? And I don't know what Smart 911 is, so.
I don't know other than this dialing 911, but dialing 911 is going to be dependent on you getting to a phone physically, or if there's someone in your home and the alarm's going off. That's what the dispatchers are for. But if it's a medical situation where you can't reach a phone, but you have a medical device on that can call a call center, whether it's ours or whoever, that's when that comes into play, and that might be an advantage for you.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Ellen? I hope so. Okay. Any other questions?
I know, some of these house systems are wired, like we have an older house and it was pre-wired for a system, and then the newer ones are wireless. And are there benefits is one better than the other, or?
The wireless technology is getting so much better now as far as, battery life, cosmetically, the devices, most of the time when you hear about a wireless security system, one would see a large white box on the door, a transmitter. Well, nowadays we have wireless devices that can be embedded into the door jamb where you don't see them. So aesthetically, things are getting better. If you have a beautiful oak finished door, and the last thing you want is this white box just stuck on the surface of the door. So that's getting better. Encryption, what we call code hopping. There's been some shows throughout the years where like a Dateline show or something of that nature, where a car is pulled up out on the curb in front of a home and has a scrambler that tries to decode the devices. So that technology, if you're dealing with a really solid, manufacturer, that's impossible to do now. The wireless technology is fantastic. It gives you a great option on what we call a retro installation, where it's impossible to get infrastructure or wiring into the home. And typically, if the battery life, like I said, is getting better, if the battery goes low, you would get a notification on the screen or the keypad, or if you have an app that's connected to the system, you could get a notification on which battery is low. So, and most of the time, batteries are very easily replaced by the homeowner. And so, I mean, you know, typically we do a lot of wireless systems because we do a lot of retro installation, but we still do our fair share of, you know, on new construction. We really do like to go in and get that infrastructure in if possible, but the wireless technology is fabulous.
Okay. We got another comment on the Smart 911 from Dean.
Okay.
It's a free service paid by Douglas County, and you can check it out on the web, which I did. And it you know, does allow for, you know, pre-giving some information, maybe a pad code number, whatever, but other alerts. And I think it's probably something, you know, people should check out. So I had not heard of it, but I did give the website at smart911.com for those people who want to follow up. And then we do have the question, does it help to keep garage doors locked?
I'm glad that you brought that topic up, or whoever did. Thank you. If you do not have a garage door opener, then I would highly recommend for you to lock that door every night. If you have a garage door opener, they do a nice job of keeping pressure on that door. You can also, on most garage door openers, there's a lockout button on the button that you have in your garage that opens and closes the garage door. One thing I would highly recommend is on a garage door opener, most of you probably have the cord that hangs down that releases that door. Say if your home loses power and you need to open your garage door, I would highly recommend removing that rope, that release rope that is on that garage door opener. The reason being is when that garage door is closed, that rope is right up against that garage door. Okay. And this actually happened to our owner. We've seen where people have taken hangers or fish tools with hooks and go into the gasket of the garage door and grab that rope and release that garage door. So if you remove that rope, that eliminates that happening. If you would get into a situation where you would need to remove or manually release that door, I have just it's not quite a hanger, but it's a little hook device that I have in my garage that I can go over and just loop through that hole and pull it down just like the rope does. So yeah, one day years ago, our boss brings in this video clip of his home, because he has cameras obviously around his garage door, and he said, look what happened. Look, this guy tried to put this hanger hook up and try to grab the rope on my garage door. So it has happened before. So again, something that doesn't cost you anything to do, grab a step stool or ladder and just remove that rope and have something available there if you do need, or in a situation where your home loses power and you do need to release that door.
So say you have a limited budget and want to put a few cameras out around your house. Are there like places that are more important than others to put them? I mean, like what are the best places?
You bet. So normally we like to cover the entry points of the home. A very common area would be, say for an example, the corner of your maybe of the soffit of your garage that looks at the garage door, possibly your walkway to your front door, your driveway, your approach or your entry to your driveway, and your front yard area. Of course, a lot of factors involved, landscaping, trees, and so forth. But when we install a camera system, placement or location of that camera is key. And the adjustment or what that camera is looking at. I can't tell you how many times I've been into a business and they have their wall of their TV of all their camera views up, and the camera is looking at half the camera view is looking at the side of their building, and so if they brought that view out and not look at the wall of their building, they would have been able to view their whole front area. So camera location and the lens or the camera adjustment or the view is very key. So front driveway, front door area, again, that's where the video doorbell comes into play, because a lot of times with the video doorbell, depending on how your door, your entry is set up, you can get not only your front porch, but possibly your whole front yard area with a video doorbell. Backyard as well, entry points, and any other specific areas that you want to keep an eye on. And most of those cameras can be set up to where not only are they what we call motion activation, but a lot of cameras nowadays, to eliminate false alarms with wildlife, leaves, things like that. They have what we call some analytics built into the camera to where you can put what we call a virtual tripwire. So instead of having a huge area where it detects motion, something actually has to cross the virtual line that the camera is looking at in order for a notification to come on your phone, or put a bookmark on that hard drive or the server that you can go back and look at those various bookmarks. So you don't have to scan through hours of data or information. You kind of go to that pinpoint of that bookmark.
One more question that comes in, and I won't put you on the spot since this is a question about cost, but I'll ask the question.
Sure.
What does your security check, if you're just asked to come out and do a security check, what does that include, and what does it cost?
Well, typically, if I don't have to get a technician involved to enroll a truck out, that's a service that I offer at no charge. When we go out and do an estimate, let's say you're interested in a security system or camera system, there's no charge for a consultation. Also, LPD and Douglas County Sheriff have some resource officers that can come out as well and give you some ideas and do a walk around your home and some suggestions on some changes that simple changes you can do to your surroundings. But typically no charge for that. And there can be an estimate given if there's interest in something like that, or just a basic consultation on safety around the house.
Okay, any other questions? We still have a few minutes.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody's typing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to just give it a second. I don't want to miss a question, but this has been really informative. I have to tell you, I've learned a lot, and I hope other people have. And obviously, feeling secure in your home is pretty high priority.
And again, if kind of on the note I started out on, the very simple things. Again, when you just be aware of your surroundings. That's one thing. As a father, when my daughter started driving, like I said, when you're pulling up to a business or a shopping mall or even coming home, getting out of your car, just pause for a second and look around, and just make sure you don't see anything out of the ordinary that could be harmful.
Okay, that's great. Okay, well, if there are no other questions, we can certainly bring this to a conclusion. I have a few announcements to make at the end, but I first want to really thank Shayne. I thought this was tremendously informative, and I hope all of you did too. Really appreciate your time and giving this presentation.
Oh, it's my pleasure. We really love Rueschhoff. Has been a company that has been very active in the community, and we love to do things like this to support the community. And Jack, you have my email information. So if questions arise later, or somebody emails you with questions, always feel free to shoot me an email, and I would definitely.
When I send out the link to the video recording, which you all get from me in a day or two, once we get that posted, I'll include that email for anybody who'd like to contact Shayne, and obviously, he suggested possible contacts with the sheriff's office or the police department information you could get. And I posted the Smart 911 thing as well. So I want to thank him once more. You can unmute and give him a round of applause, and then I'll close it out with a
Thank
few announcements.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
Really,
so
really
much.
well done.
You
Yeah.
folks have a good evening.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
Okay, and
Take care.
just a couple things. Thank you.